The respiratory system. A journey from structure to function. Welcome to our deep dive into the wonders of the respiratory system, where we journey from its macroscopic architecture down to its microscopic marvels, all while exploring how every detail serves a vital function. Let us begin by understanding the fundamental purpose of this complex system. The respiratory system is designed for two essential roles. First, conducting air to and from the surfaces where exchange happens, and second, facilitating the exchange of gases, specifically oxygen and carbon dioxide. Its structure is divided into two functional zones, the conducting zone and the respiratory zone. The conducting zone is a series of passageways responsible for transporting air from the external environment to the regions where gas exchange occurs. The key functions here are filtering, warming, and humidifying the air you breathe. This zone also carries out the important task of producing sound, which is essential for communication. Structures in the conducting zone include the nose, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and the terminal bronchioles. Each of these structures plays a specialized role. The nose and nasal cavity form the gateway for inhaled air, which is immediately guided into turbulent paths by bony projections called conchi. This unique design ensures that air contacts the warm, moist mucous membrane, which serves to filter out dust, warm the air through a rich network of capillaries, and humidify it for the delicate tissues further down the line. The nasal cavity is lined with two types of tissue. The respiratory epithelium, a specialized layer of cells equipped with cilia and mucus-producing cells, traps and transports unwanted particles away from the lungs. Meanwhile, the olfactory epithelium, located at the roof of the cavity, is responsible for our sense of smell. Next, we move to the pharynx, a muscular funnel that connects the nose and mouth to the larynx and esophagus. The pharynx is divided into three regions: the nasopharynx behind the nose, the oropharynx behind the mouth, and the laryngopharynx, which serves as the final crossroad guiding food to the esophagus and air to the larynx. The larynx, commonly known as the voice box, is constructed from several cartilages and contains the vocal folds that are essential for producing sound. It not only keeps the airway open but also directs food away from the respiratory tract during swallowing, thanks to a flap called the epiglottis. Now let us continue on our journey into the lower respiratory tract. The trachea, or windpipe, is a tube about 4 inches long situated in front of the esophagus. Its walls are supported by rings made of hyaline cartilage which keep the airway open while allowing the esophagus to expand during swallowing. The trachea is lined with ciliated cells that move trapped particles upwards, protecting the lungs from harmful material. As the trachea descends, it splits into the right and left primary bronchi. This branching continues multiple times, creating what is known as the bronchial tree. The right bronchus is wider, shorter, and more vertical, which is why foreign objects are more likely to lodge there. The secondary bronchi correspond to each lobe of the lung, and the tertiary bronchi supply specific segments within the lungs. As the airways branch and become smaller, the cartilage rings gradually disappear, replaced by increasing amounts of smooth muscle. This transition allows the bronchioles to regulate airflow by either widening or narrowing. At the end of the conducting zone are the terminal bronchioles, the smallest airways that guide air into the regions where gas exchange begins. Now, we enter the respiratory zone, the critical site of gas exchange. Here, the respiratory bronchioles mark the transition, containing scattered thin-walled air sacs called alveoli. As we move deeper, alveolar ducts become lined entirely with these tiny sacs, which eventually cluster into groups known as alveolar sacs. The alveoli themselves are the true stars of this system. Each lung contains approximately 300 million alveoli, providing an enormous surface area for the diffusion of gases. The wall of each alveolus is incredibly thin, allowing for fast and efficient exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The wall consists of 3 layers. First, the simple squamous epithelial cells that line the alveolus. Second, the fused basement membrane. And third, the capillary endothelial cells. Within the alveolus, there are several specialized cell types. The simple squamous cells facilitate gas exchange. Other cells secrete pulmonary surfactant, a substance that reduces surface tension and prevents the alveolus from collapsing. Additionally, there are alveolar macrophages, sometimes called dust cells, which patrol the alveolar surfaces to remove dust and pathogens. Encasing all of these structures are the lungs themselves, paired cone-shaped organs that reside within the chest cavity. The right lung has 3 lobes while the left lung has 2. with a unique notch to accommodate the heart. Each lung is enveloped in a double-layered membrane called the pleura. The visceral pleura covers the lung itself, while the parietal pleura lines the inside of the chest wall. Between these layers is a thin film of fluid, creating surface tension that couples the lungs to the movements of the chest wall. This design ensures that the lungs expand and recoil efficiently during breathing. To summarize, the structure of the respiratory system is expertly tailored to its function. The nasal cavity warms, humidifies, and filters air. The larynx maintains an open airway and produces sound. The trachea and bronchi conduct air and clear debris. Bronchioles regulate airflow. The alveoli serve as the primary site for gas exchange. The pleura ensures the lungs move in harmony with the chest wall. In essence, the respiratory system is a masterpiece of biological engineering, evolving from robust protective passageways to delicate, expansive surfaces that make possible the vital exchange of gases needed for life itself. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of structure and function within the respiratory system. If you found this podcast illuminating, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth explorations of the world's most fascinating biological systems. It's the Everything Surgery Podcast. Dissect the extraordinary.